local sports fans, thank you so very much for checking out the Sportsline Podcast. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Folks, remember to tell your pals, share, and of course, talk about your favorite conversations, shorts. Keep liking and subscribing because it's all for free, and we certainly appreciate you when it comes to your watching of the Sportsline Podcast. Hey, today, so much to chat about when it pertains to celebrating our local athletes. And you've heard me brag before, boasting before, about the outstanding athletes in our area. Well, once a year, those athletes are celebrated at the annual C.Y.O. Children's Fundraiser Gala Dinner, where the Golden Horseshoe Athlete of the Year is presented. Now, when it comes to sports in these parts, this is one of the events of the year. So, to chat about all things Golden Horseshoe Athlete of the Year, let's bring in a committee member who's a good friend of the podcast. Rick Zamperin, thanks for joining us, partner.
Hello there. How are you?
This is, I think, I guess we're looking at year number 30 for the Bill Stirrup Award.
30th annual, yes.
What is it about our area that is just seemingly able to, there's some areas that could not support an award like this, but we are making things real tough. I mean, I'm sure at one time it was pretty tough to put together a nomination list. It's so easy now.
Man, I mean, this year's nomination list was like a gazillion miles long. There were so many amazing local athletes who, in so many different sports, so many different leagues, are excelling, winning medals, winning championships, doing some amazing work and representing the city with so much class and so much athletic prowess.
I guess we would start here, and I think it's so important for us to remember this man, someone that you and I, as sportscasters in this area, would remember. And the award is named the Bill Stirrup Award. For those that don't know, and even for those that want to just hear us talk about Bill, who is Bill Stirrup?
Bill Stirrup was a wonderful man who, for decades, 40-plus years, was a mainstay in hockey arenas, baseball diamonds, around the basketball or volleyball courts, McMaster University or otherwise, Iverwin Stadium doing the PA, First Ontario Centre, before that Copps Coliseum for the Hamilton Bulldogs, as he would announce. He was an iconic radio, news, and sportsman who volunteered for everything from the Canusa Games to the Golden Horseshoe Athlete of the Year. He was so ingrained in local sports because he loved the athletes, he loved the competitiveness, and he loved volunteering and giving back to the community. And this is the way that he did it. And so after so many years of doing that, we as a committee decided, it was actually even before my time, to name the actual trophy the Bill Stirrup Award. It's the Golden Horseshoe Athlete of the Year, but the trophy is the Bill Stirrup Award, and it couldn't have gone or been named after a better person.
You know, and I know that he was a big fan of ours, and you actually got to have an appreciation and a relationship with the man working in the same building at 900 CHML.
Yeah, for about 7 or 8 years, Bill and I worked side by side, and I mean, the stories he would tell would be unbelievable, from covering Beatlemania when they first came to Canada to, being in the bowels of Copps Coliseum with the AHL Bulldogs at the time, going for the Calder Cup. He was everywhere in this community, was willing of his time, and did some phenomenal things in terms of, pushing the ball forward to have more people not only talk about sports and local athletes in this community, but support it as well. So his legacy lives on through this award for sure.
And that's great that you guys have done that, or that this committee has chosen his name to be affixed to this award. And I hope it goes on for many, many, many years, because for those that never met him, you missed out a little bit on a good guy and just a lover of local sports in this area, and why we celebrate it to this day. Yeah. And we talk about the celebration of our local athletes, and we talk about how difficult this is becoming every year. I look a little bit at the criteria of the awards and how you actually put together a list of candidates.
So, some of the names that come on the list are fairly easy. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, we know he's from Hamilton. He played basketball in high school here. NBA MVP candidate. He's easily going to land on the list. There's also a submission area where people can, vote in or recommend or nominate a local athlete. And some of those names are not in, the newspapers or on websites, at least, the more prominent ones, or in local newscasts or even national newscasts. So that information comes to the committee as well. And then basically over a series of meetings, the committee comes together and says, okay, do these people meet the criteria? Were they born here? If not, did they spend, a substantial amount of time in this city? Did they do so with a team or in an individual sport? What are their contributions like on the field or the pitch or the ice, whatever the case is? And so we kind of, put all those names into a basket and then kind of debate which ones are worthy to be finalists for the Bill Stirrup Award.
I would presume being a fly on the wall in those four walls of those conversations, because it is, in my opinion, you're looking at someone in pro sports, someone in as an amateur athlete or an Olympic athlete, which is an amateur still. The different levels, people that represent are playing on teams and people that are individuals. It must be really difficult to weigh the strength and minus, or I don't even want to say minuses, but the strengths of each athlete. Yeah.
Well, I mean, considering this year, there's kind of that mix, right? You have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is one of the best basketball players on the planet, and probably maybe next to soccer, the most played sport on the planet. So he's among the best players anywhere. And then you have an Olympic athlete, Eleanor Harvey, who once every 4 years has that one opportunity to make her mark. And she ends up winning Canada's first ever, Olympic medal in fencing. And then you have Tristan Borges, who, again, plays a global sport in the game of soccer and does so for Hamilton's Forge FC, wins Player of the Year. So how do you balance all these things out where you have 3 different sports, 3 different athletes, an individual athlete, 2 team athletes? The debates year in and year out are spectacular. No one holds back. Everyone, enters, I think, the debate with a minute bias with one athlete, but and it's happened so many times, they're swayed one way or another. It's really challenging, but it's really rewarding as well.
And that's where the best part about it, because I think you get to get the opinions, and there might be something that you would remember about an athlete that I might forget. Right. And that you put all these things together. And again, it's a big learning process for so many of you guys in that committee.
Yeah. And two, another challenge, maybe not to the greatest degree where I just laid out before, but the NBA season, for example, or the NHL season is not in one calendar year. It's kind of split from year to year, the 20, 24, 25 season. For these awards, we're looking at the calendar year. So anything that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has done from January 1st till now is not really considered. We're looking at last year. So that adds a little bit of a wrinkle to it, but it's a whole lot of fun. The committee is made up of the who's who of local sports, iconic people. Paul Schnurr, Michelle Vesperini, Ken Welch, former CH guy. Bill used to be on for years and years. Myself, Greg Maychek, who was involved in local sports for so many years. Dave Rashford, another iconic local. I mean, the list of people and the pedigree of the individuals on this committee is unbelievable.
And you talk about those names. I mean, those are names that have been around.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been around and they've seen the rise of the local athlete and how it has become not only more proficient, but more important in the area as well, too.
Absolutely. And, the crop of local athletes that have not only, made their sports or made their teams, but have excelled. Mackenzie Hughes, winning on the PGA Tour. That's really hard to do, right? Shai being in the MVP category, leading Team Canada to last year's Olympics to an unbeaten record during the round robin. Eleanor Harvey, again, breaking a record, winning a medal that's never been done in a sport for Canada. I mean, these are pretty cool achievements.
Let's talk about let's get a little deeper into each one of the 3. We can say there are 3 finalists at this point right now. And SGA, of course, last year's winner, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, really follows an exceptional 2023 year with an even better year in 24. 26-year-old voted to the NBA All-Star game as a starter and named an NBA first-teamer. That is outstanding. In addition, Gilgeous-Alexander, as you talked about, led Canada to an unbeaten record in the group stage of the Olympic basketball tournament in France. Now, with a win, SGA, he'll join swimmer Joanne Millar, golfer Mackenzie Hughes as the only 3-time winners of the Bill Stirrup Award. I mean, when you talk about success stories, and maybe one that kind of came out of nowhere, SGA ticks all the boxes.
Yeah. And here's a guy who was cut from his high school team. Like, how crazy is that? That's like one of the craziest stories ever. To be cut from your high school team, and now, he's on the precipice of winning an MVP. Like, he's got to be among the favorites in the National Basketball Association. A perennial candidate. I think this is the 5th time he's been a finalist. He's won twice before. Very much in the running to win again, and no one would bat an eye because he is that dominant, that electric on the court, that magnetizing. The best dressed NBA player. That you got to says so. Yeah, I mean, he's so good. And listen, he's probably going to be a finalist for so many. And we've talked about this at the committee level. Like, every year he's going to be there, and rightfully so. And you can't take that away from him. It'd be no different than Wayne Gretzky back in the early '80s. Yep. Every year he was up for the Hart Trophy, and he won 8 or 9 in a row. Yeah. SGA is in that category.
What I like about SGA, too, is when you put a microphone in front of him and the direction starts to talk about home, Canada, never afraid to utter the word Hamilton.
Absolutely. He knows where he's from. He knows the building blocks that were put in place so many years ago, from coaches to teammates to the schools that he played at to the development that every step of the way was important in his success today. So, yeah, he's never forgotten that, nor will he ever, because he's a solid individual who is just exceptional at his sport.
Tristan Borges is he's his second-time finalist here, and I think he's really an interesting candidate here because, as an attacking midfielder for Forge FC, who've had all kinds of amazing success. He's been the Canadian Premier League Player of the Year in 2024. He's actually become the first and only player to claim the honor twice. 26-year-old, he's the Hammers' all-time leading goal scorer, threat in terms of 5th for goals this year, 8th in league play in terms of adding 7 assists, and he's only one back of the league leader, which is his teammate, Kyle Becker. This guy has an enthusiasm about him. He brings a passion to the game, and he's excellent as a player as well, too.
What more can you say? Coach Bobby and Forge, number one, is a force. Tristan Borges, as one of the main guys on that team, especially from an offensive perspective, really encapsulates how incredible this Forge story has been for the first 6 seasons of the CPL, entering year number 7, in which they might just win again because they have a lot of great talent. His Olympico goal to win the 2023 championship in the Canadian Premier League, really is a microcosm of what he's all about. Creative, thinks outside the box, a risk taker, but he knows what those risks are and isn't erratic with his play. Very responsible. The creativity that he comes up with on the pitch is second to none, especially in this league. And, I know they have a big match tomorrow night in Hamilton, which is going to be, very interesting against a very strong opponent. And then they go down to Mexico for the, leg number 2. But Borges is a guy who, again, 26, has probably the best years, scarily, in front of him in the CPL. So very much looking forward to seeing what he can do this season.
I think another charming thing about him too, and we talk about SGA and the fact that never afraid to talk about Hamilton, and he does the same thing. Tristan, just out there, almost gregarious at time when he's on the pitch. Like he's a force out there in terms of his personality on the pitch, as in terms of his talent as well too. But he's out there and represents this Forge FC machine, I'll call it, out there as the blinding light out there, saying, hey, I'm one of the better players out there, and he's not afraid to sort of out there and express himself.
Yeah, he can, because he delivers in the moment. He is a very crafty individual. Yes. Attacking midfield is a demanding position. If you're not producing results on the offensive side of the pitch, you're going to have to do some damage on the defensive side. And he's able to come back and help his teammates in that way. A leader on the field. Him and Kyle do some amazing stuff when it comes to transferring the ball to the people who are going to put it in the back of the net. And, you talk to Tristan, and he's a grounded guy who understands his role in the community, his role with this team, and knows that he's just one piece of 11 guys on the field that are going for that same kind of end result.
And that's what's so amazing, is because he's an outstanding player, also surrounded by outstanding players. And to be able to, like, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, sports, we can see this all the time where guys just have amazing egos. And I in the times I've talked to him, been around him, or people that know him even much better than I am, I've never gotten that feeling.
You can say that pretty much about anybody on Forge FC. Like Bobby Smirniotis, the head coach of this team, from day one, not only said, this is the expectation that we have for this franchise, to win championships, but we're going to do so with class. We're going to do so with energy on the field. We're going to do so playing a system that Bobby developed years ago, and it has worked spectacularly in the CPO.
Eleanor Harvey. Now, this is a real fun one for me as well, too, is the fact that she has been out there on the Olympic stage for a number of years, and she has put together an amazing resume. Yet, it was this year at the Paris Olympics where she actually broke through, getting that bronze medal, the first ever medal for this country in this sport. And let's be honest, we're real good at hockey. We're real good at hockey.
Yes.
We're real good at hockey. And we're exploring some other things as well, too. But fencing is generally nothing to do with, what we're all about. And for Eleanor to be out there, someone that, again, I think went to Ohio State and did very well there, always knew her roots out the West Coast, also back in Hamilton. And to have that, I mean, there was a pride beaming about her, and you couldn't feel so good, because was she the first medalist or one of the first medalists in the Olympics for us?
For Canada.
For Canada. It was an outstanding feeling. And I mean, and that's the crazy thing about the Olympics. You work so hard for 4 years, and then, bam, here she is in the spotlight.
Yes. So, you mentioned Ohio State won championships at the NCAA level, has won medals at the Pan Am Games. The international stage doesn't really frighten her. She, I think, fared well in 2016 in Rio, 2021, which would have been 2020 Tokyo. Didn't quite get over the hump, but, another experience, another notch in the belt in terms of learning and, adjusting. And then magically it kind of just happened in Paris, where, she became the first ever Canadian to win a medal in fencing, and in a sport where, 99.9% of the population has no idea how it works, other than, you hit the person with the sword. I mean, there's a lot more to that. But at the end of the day, like, for this individual who's had so much success internationally at other levels, to get to the podium and do anytime you do something first in a non-traditional sport, at least in terms of our country, there's something to say about that. That takes a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of patience at times, battling through injuries. Yes, they suffer injuries as well. And she, especially with the Olympics, every 4 years, you have that one chance. And if you make a mistake, you could finish 16th as opposed to 3rd. And, I will never forget her reaction when she takes off, her apparatus, whatever it's called. And like the expression on her face of, oh my gosh, I actually did it, is never going to go away. And it's actually one of the more priceless moments of Paris 2024.
One of the beautiful things about being an amateur athlete is in the Olympics, and why we love the Olympics is these type of stories that you're talking about, because we get I get burned a little bit from the professionals, because there are, as I talked about, egos, and we're talking about money, and these are things that kind of dominate professional sports sometimes. But when it comes down to the amateur athlete, and let's be honest too, some of these amateur athletes do not get the support from the ground level like many of the mainstream sports. So to see someone like that achieve, it's just a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've had athletes from hockey to soccer to speed skating, figure skating, those sports where there's a lot more involvement. And then you have fencing. Like, who gets into fencing? I'm sure there's going to be some young girls out there, some young men out there thinking, wow, like that, I want to try that, Mom and Dad. Let's enroll and let's find a local fencing club. And, it's people like Eleanor Harvey who has found this success at the highest stage, who's going to inspire the next crop of amazing fencers from this country.
And I will say this about her, too, is she shares that thing, I think, with Shay, is that there was this potential that has grown. And peaked, and hopefully not peaked, actually. Maybe she's still got another Olympics in her.
That'd be amazing.
That she started somewhere, and started from the bottom and got to the top kind of thing. But that's what she's experienced so far in her career.
Yeah. Well, she's 30. LA is 4 years from now. She'll be 34. Not out of the realm of possibility where she can go to Los Angeles, win another medal, or just say, "Hey, this is my swan song. This is my going out party. Let's let's go out with a bang." And more power to her. I mean, if you can continually make Olympic Games, you're doing something right. And especially in a quote unquote non-traditional sport in terms of our country, it's phenomenal.
So the Golden Horseshoe Athlete of the Year award is actually something that we're obviously talking about, but it's actually a small part of a bigger evening in terms of the C.Y.O.
Yeah. The Catholic Youth Organization, as we know, has been a unbelievable entity in this community, raising funds for Camp Marydale, Camp Brébeuf, breaking down those barriers for those who have disabilities, and they make these parks accessible. And they're celebrating their 40th anniversary this year.
Wow.
So February 27th, it's a Thursday night, Carmen's Banquet Center, Stone Church Road East. Everyone knows where it is. Get your tickets, cyo.on.ca. It's a great night. They always have a camper of the year who has an amazing story to share with their family. Tons of money is raised, and it's for an amazing cause. So the Golden Horseshoe Athlete of the Year presentation is really a small component of what happens on the C.Y.O. Gala Dinner Night. It's a great event. Hundreds of people go. There's lots of parking. I'd love to see everyone there.
Lots of parking. And you know what? What I love about nights like these is there's sometimes people in the community that you might just see once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And these are the events where, again, especially many people with such common, sort of common things that bond them in terms of sports and, again, helping out the community, what the C.Y.O. have done for numerous years. I think that's wonderful when you can all get together and share an evening.
Hamilton Sports Hall of Fame inductees from this past year are also, recognized at the C.Y.O. Dinner as well. And it's just a great night to get out. It's the doldrums of winter, even though Wyerton Willie made his prediction. Listen, it's a great night to get out and celebrate local youth, these two amazing camps and the awesome work that the C.Y.O. does, and find out who's going to win the Golden Horseshoe Athlete of the Year and the Bill Stewart Award. Rick, presented by United Trophy, by the way.
Oh, hey, yeah, right. Get that plug in. I love that. No, we appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, now again, if people want to get tickets, where do they go?
Yeah, cyo.on.ca is the website. Just click on, buy tickets. You can buy a table. I think there's still sponsorship opportunities as well. It's a wonderful night, and it's a great way for everyone, really, at the dinner to give back to their community.
Before we kind of take off here, because this was the precipice of this podcast today, but we've also hit something called this, what do you call it? The CFL's unofficial tampering. I hate the unofficial legal tampering thing. And, one of the teams that we're bonded by and we talk a lot about in this area are the Tiger Cats. And
have they done anything?
They're making moves, Rick.
Yeah.
And I know, again, with the fifth quarter, this is a big part of what you do in the wintertime, too, and entertaining your fans and the people that follow you online as well, too. You've got a lot of content to talk about.
Absolutely. In fact, on February the 11th, which is the start of free agency, not the non-tampering winter, whatever the heck they're calling it.
We can make things official.
Yeah, it's official, yeah. So February 11th, officially free agency open. So anyone who's not signed in this window is a free agent as of February 11th. So that night, the Tuesday night, I'm actually hosting a live show on the Fifth Quarter Show on YouTube where we're going to talk about some of the moves that the Ticats have made, the most recent one being Kenny Lawler is a Hamilton Tiger Cat.
Whoa.
Kenny Lawler, Timmy White, Keandre Smith re-signing, Drew Wolotarski, which receivers are not a part of the Ticats right now? Well, I'll tell you one, Geno Lewis, back in the East Division. He's now with Ottawa. So, stuff's happening.
Don't forget Tyler Chernowski, too. I love this kid. Love this kid. If he can stay healthy, he is one of those kids that I think can get a lot of things done and be a great special teamer as well, too.
He's an incredible special teamer, number one. He's a great depth guy on offense when someone does go down or someone's not performing. The one or maybe the two kind of areas of the team that I am hoping to see some new additions, center, of course, David David Beard going to Edmonton's, substantial loss. He's a great player, a great person, but has a young family. I understand he wants to go back home. And that linebacking core, I know Stubblefield's coming to Hamilton, which is a great get. Another piece there would be tantalizing. Yeah,
another couple of pieces there too. I think another. I know they signed Jawan. The last name escapes me there. In terms of, and I've talked to you about this before, bulk on the defensive line. Right. I think we have great athleticism, but some real, beef, like some
Teddy
guys.
Laurent 2.0, right?
I say it all the time, and that's a guy. I almost don't want to burn him out in terms of using his name, but a guy like that, just a bull, like a guy that is an animal in the middle of the line that people can control, especially when it comes to blowing up the run.
Yes, if they don't improve the defense, and I have some fans who are kind of interacting with me on social media, I just said, listen, we can win every game 48-45. It would be exciting, right?
Bo Levi Mitchell has to be really happy.
Man, he's got his cookies and milk now. He's just putting his feet up, waiting for training camp. No, he's working hard, I'm sure.
I'll tell you, it's crazy because we're talking football here, and I give the league a little bit of credit because there was a time, not all that long ago, where this free agency time really wasn't celebrated. But they're getting lots of clicks. A lot of people are talking CFL football right now, and of course, the Tiger Cats out there, new general manager. Of course, I don't know. Do I want to say this is the year? But
let's say it, Bubba. This is the year.
This is the year.
Come on.
Rick, great. Hey, have a great night with the Golden Horseshoe Athlete of the Year. Are you going to give us a hint?
All I can say is one of the three is going to be crowned the Bill Stirrup Award winner. You'll have to find out February 27th at Carmen's.
Thanks for the tease. Appreciate you coming
in. You got it. Anytime.
That's your Sportsline podcast for the day. And as you just seen and heard, we love talking sports and we love talking local sports. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote the Sportsline podcast, want to hear from you. Hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. If you have something to say, please comment. For the outstanding people that make the Sportsline podcast possible, thank you so very much. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.